Yeah, so we'll start off with Davide here, and yeah, some great accomplishments going to be coming out for him, being a runner-up in the 2019 European International Championship, and also managing to get top 8 at the European International Championship back in the 2017 year as well, and also qualified for day 2 of the World Championships 3 times. He is currently undefeated in this European Cup as well, with a 4-0 record. So it looks like he's going for that perfect run in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that Italy has had such a sublime run during the whole tournament, it just goes to show that Davide has really put in the work for his team. And he's, like you said, Jamie, going to be trying to go for that undefeated as well as award Italy that rank as well. Because, of course, Italy is still currently undefeated overall throughout this whole tournament. They will be needing to keep that form going so they can get the grand finals European Cup in their trophy board. And we're going to be seeing Pontus coming up next. On his end, he's come second in the Bremen regional back in 2017. He is a day 2. He actually achieved day 2, of the London European International Championship, the first ever one back in 2017. He is a 3 times world competitor back in 2016, 2018, and 2019. So not the best record right now with regards to this tournament, but like we said before, he doesn't have as much pressure going into this, and he can really pull this out of the bag and just surprise Davide based, of course, on how the match goes. So this is going to be a really, really exciting, interesting one to round off the first day of the grand finals.
You just know that Pontus would really like to get revenge on Davide for that week 1 match that's facing each other with in that week 1. But now we are going to be jumping into the match here, and we're going to jump straight past team preview. It seems, just going straight into the match.
Who needs team preview when there's so much pressure going into this? It's all right. We're going to try to actually see the team at some point when it will be popping up for you all. But without any further ado, we're going to be seeing Pontus go ahead and lead with that Incineroar and Lapras that he has, whilst we're going to be seeing Davide go for an Alcremie and Porygon 2.
I haven't seen Alchemy too much. It did manage to pop up with a Lapras, but it is facing down against. It's not partnered with it. Instead, it's going to be that Porygon 2, and I haven't been seeing it too much, really. It does have access to that signature move in the Decorate, and very, very kindly showing us the teams there between the 2 players. So very, 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 very good foresight of the players going into this match. So yeah, having access to the Decorate, usually paired with the Lapras, but now the Porygon 2 is the partner. Could still definitely make use of those stat increases, the +2 attack and the +2 special attack as well.
But we're actually going to be seeing the Lapras on Pontus' side switch up for the Dracovish right now. So not wanting to risk wasting his Dynamax straight off the bat from what it seems. But on Davide's side, he is not of that thought. He's just going to go ahead and get the Dynamax going in the Porygon 2, which is definitely something that you really don't usually see. We haven't seen it actually, surprisingly, rise in usage, at least this tactic, should I say, in the European Cup itself previously, which has 1 gains, as we see that it ignores that fake out from the Incineroar. Alcremie goes for the Decorate in this Porygon 2, being able to boost its attack and special attack by 2 stages, bring it to +2. Max Lightning comes out from the Porygon 2, goes into that Dracovish slot, nearly picks up the KO, and does, of course, set up the Electric Terrain in the process of doing so. So really wanting to target down that Lapras, of course, which did switch out, which could have been huge amounts of damage based on if the Lapras did move first or not.
There was still huge amounts of damage into that Dracovish as well, really showing how useful that Decorate can be. And now the Alchemy can just go for another Decorate if it wants to increase the Porygon 2 even further.
Ooh, but it's going to opt for a Protect this turn round. It doesn't want to remove itself from the field, as Vicious Ren does come out. Doesn't deal as much damage as you commonly see, but let's remember, this is a Dynamax Porygon 2, being able to take the double up of the Flare Blitz and the Vicious Ren quite well. We're going to be seeing it go for the Max Strike in retaliation, doing huge amounts of damage. Once again, this Porygon 2 is on fire into that Incineroar slot, being able to drop the speed of both the Incineroar and the Dracovish whilst proccing a Berry on the Incineroar. It is looking to be one of those Super Berries, or actually it is not. It was just within that range. It is actually a Citrus Berry instead.
Good turn for Pontus here. A little bit of a missed opportunity coming out from Davide's side. If he went for Dazzling Gleam with the Alchemy, that would have definitely picked up the knockout on the Dracovish, and it would have probably done that little bit of chip damage that would have allowed the Incineroar to be taken out by that Max Strike, but instead able to eat up its berry and get a good amount of damage into the Porygon 2. Not quite over half, so the Porygon 2 really showing its bulk.
And the Alchemy will be able to outspeed the Dracovish now and pick up that KO with the Dazzling Gleam, as well as chip damage onto the Incineroar, of course. Whilst the Porygon 2 is just going out on a riot, it's going to be able to pick up this KO onto the Incineroar with the Max Strike, as it will be outspeeding it, of course. And quite a phenomenal start for Davide there. Of course, we do know that Pontus still hasn't used his Dynamax, and he has the Lapras in the back, but we still don't know what the last Pokemon is that he does have as well.
I said it was a missed opportunity the turn before, but that opportunity was very much taken on this turn with a double knockout on the Dracovish and the Incineroar as well. The Max Strike getting the speed drop on that Dracovish, allowing the Alchemy to move first. But this will be the last turn of Dynamax for the Porygon 2, and like you said, Pontus will still have access to all of his turns of Dynamax, as he did switch that Lapras out on that first turn. But the Porygon 2 is still going to be quite a big threat against the Lapras and whatever will come in as well, because it still has that Decorate boost that the Alchemy gave to it on the first turn, and could still be giving to it in these future turns as well. Alchemy is definitely going to be outspeeding the Lapras here. Rillaboom is going to be a good Pokemon to bring in here to pair with that Lapras as well. Maybe going for a Fake Out to stop any further Decorates onto the Porygon 2, as we have seen that there is at least a Thunderbolt, which is now going to be a reduced damage now that the electric terrain that is set up with the Max Lightning is going to be overwritten with the grassy terrain instead. So the Lapras almost certainly going to be the candidate for the Dynamax here for Pontus. Is going to be able to shrug off those Thunderbolts a little bit easier than from the Porygon 2 now that the grassy terrain's been overwritten, and would need to be a Fake Out to stop a further Decorate. A +4 a Thunderbolt would do a huge amount of damage to the Lapras, even in its Gigantamax form. And we haven't even seen the other two Pokemon that Davide has brought to this match. He's just led with these two, the Alchemy and the Porygon 2, and has already been able to take 2 KOs onto Pontus' side of the field. So it's still looking like quite a nice position for Davide, even though Pontus has access to his Dynamax, and really needs to put a stop to another one of those Decorates to really make this Porygon 2 a monster.
Oh, definitely. And talking about monsters, we're going to be seeing the G-Max Lapras coming out, reminiscing something of a Loch Ness Monster over on Pontus' side, being able to go ahead and utilize the next 3 turns in that form to be able to get those hugely catastrophic and detrimental max moves. Of course, the G-Max Resonance is its signature move, whilst Alcremie is actually going to be going for the Protect this turn round, doesn't want to get removed from the field or even get hit by a Fake Out, which we do not see. We see the Grassy Glide instead coming up from the Rillaboom into the Porygon 2 slot. Is this a double up? It is indeed a double up. Will it be able to pick up the KO? It does as well. Being able to set that Aurora Veil up and going, it's a critical hit. I'm not sure if it mattered. It does all obviously depend on whether this Lapras does fashion that Life Orb item that we haven't seen it more commonly used nowadays, which it does indeed. We got the confirmation there, of course, from that recoil. Maybe starting to bring this back, dependent on what Davide has in the back.
Well, the Lapras does have access to 2 turns of the Gigantamax as well, and that's one of the nice things of preserving your Dynamax, waiting for later on in the game. And when your opponent's used up their Dynamax and you still have access to all 3 turns of yours, it can really swing the momentum back in your favor. And now the Decorate boosts are gone from the Porygon 2. The Alchemy would need to spend another turn decorating that Rillaboom, but it wouldn't be able to decorate the Rillaboom before a Grassy Glide would be able to come out. It would have to be a Wood Hammer to make the most use of a Decorate that could go into that Rillaboom as well. And the Rillaboom is going to be targeting down that opposing Alchemy as well with the Grassy Glide. The Alchemy hasn't taken any damage here, and both times it's protected, the partner was double attacked by Pontus' side. But this time, Alchemy is going to be helping out this Rillaboom.
Alchemy is going to be going ahead and giving that helping hand onto the Rillaboom's Grassy Glide, not being enough, of course, to pick up the KO onto that Lapras. So it does feel a bit wasted, but even though it did deal huge amounts of damage, we see the knockoff coming out from Pontus's Rillaboom into its mirrored nemesis, being able to reveal that Miracle Seed item. But before that being said, the Lapras is able to pick up that KO onto it, thanks to that double up, of course, onto the Rillaboom on Davide's side, leaving Davide with his final 2 Pokemon, and this Alcremie is still on the field.
And still hasn't been attacked as well. It's just been completely ignored by Pontus. It's been able to help out the partner slot with the Decorates on the Porygon 2, and the Helping Hand as well, doing a lot of damage to that Lapras, even with the Aurora Veil up. But you see the downside of using the Grassy Glide instead of something like the Wood Hammer. If the Alchemy would have been able to get a Decorate onto the Rillaboom in order to boost the power of its attacks, then the Wood Hammer would have easily been able to pick up the knockouts, but Grassy Glide just wasn't enough.
Grassy Glide is going to be coming out from that Rillaboom on Pontus' side, dealing huge amounts of damage, over half of HP dealt onto that Alcremie that did try to go ahead for that Dazzling Gleam. Didn't deal as much damage, of course, that it would have liked, but talking about damage, that Lapras nearly picking up the KO onto that Togekiss, of course. Life Orb boosted, let's not forget, and that Dazzling Gleam, second Dazzling Gleam in a row, but this time around from that Togekiss is definitely not going to do much at all, thanks to that Aurora Veil. Maybe also indicating what kind of item that Rillaboom could potentially be carrying.
And also finally attacking into that Alchemy as well with a Grassy Glide. Togekiss being able to survive the G-Max Resonance, very crucial here. The Togekiss having one more turn on the field to be able to go for another Dazzling Gleam. Awesome redirection as well. And now that the Gigantamax on the Lapras is finished, it's maybe in range of another double Dazzling Gleam if that's the option that Davide wants to go for.
But Pontus is just going to go for that Grassy Glide into the Togekiss, ensuring that KO. Of course, it was on 9 hit points remaining. Alcremie does go for the Dazzling Gleam, hopefully in retaliation of its fallen comrade, whilst it's not being able to do much, as that Hydro Pump is going to be able to potentially pick up the KO, and it does. Of course, it landed, more importantly, but secondly, it did pick up the KO. But I felt at that point, Pontus just had a lot of more resources, should I say, compared to Davide there. Not being able to maybe handle that end game as well on Davide's side. What do you think, Jamie?
Saving the Gigantamax for the Lapras was very smart from Pontus' side. Being able to use up the turns of Dynamax from the Porygon 2 that did get decorated as well, so was dishing out a huge amount of damage. Did sacrifice the Dracovish and the Incineroar in able to get through that Dynamax, but then having Rillaboom and Lapras seemed to be the perfect two in the back to be able to clean up the rest of Davide's Pokemon. And the Alchemy, it wasted 2 of its turns going for a Protect as it wasn't attacked. Those were 2 turns that it could have gone for just extra chip damage with the Dazzling Gleam. It could have been decorating the partner Pokemon once again. The Porygon 2, if it got to +4 stages of increased special attack, would have been doing a huge amount of damage. And just, going for the Grassy Glides instead of the Wood Hammers. If Wood Hammer would have been able to be fired off into that Lapras with a Decorate boost, that is definitely going to be a way past the Gigantamax Lapras in Aurora Veil.
Oh, 100%, because, I mean, just being able to go ahead and just utilize that Dynamax endgame, of course, from Pontus' side, was really able to pull out all the stops for his end and award him that very well-earned Game 1 win. But we're just going to go into Game 2's leads, which are going to be the Incineroar and the Dracovish this time around on Pontus' side, being able to get that Intimidate drop off as well onto the Alcremie and Porygon 2, which we do see once again coming up from Davide's side, not being able to affect them as much, as Porygon 2's special attack is going to be raised thanks to its download ability as well.
And now Pontus is leading with the 2 Pokemon that were facing down the Alchemy and Porygon 2 in the first game, and now can just immediately go on the offensive with the Dracovish, and can go for a Fake Out to stop the Decorate coming out from the Alchemy. The Fake Out did land into the Dynamax Porygon 2 in the first game, so Pontus is surely not going to be falling for that once again. Would want to go for the Fake Out into the Alchemy, stop that Decorate, and if the Porygon 2 did go for its Dynamax, it wouldn't be doing as much damage. Even though it did get that special attack increase from the download boost, it wouldn't be receiving that Decorate if the Fake Out was landing into that Alchemy, and then wouldn't be able to pick up any knockouts on the Dracovish or the Incineroar, but would still be getting that speed drop that we saw put the Alchemy faster than the Dracovish with that speed drop as well, so maybe able to put it in range of a Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah, and we just saw that timeout from Davide's side right there. Whilst the Helping Hand is going to be coming out from the Alcremie, but unfortunately, the Fake Out will be going into that Porygon 2, not allowing it to move at all, as we are going to be seeing it nearly get picked off from that Dracovish's Vicious Rend as well. So very unfortunate for Davide there. I'm not sure what was going through his mind. Maybe he was trying to think about 100% his plays and what the correct play was to do, but unfortunately for himself, he wasn't able to get that Dynamax off.
And there was me saying that Pontus wasn't going to fall for that Fake Out into the Porygon 2 on the turn 1 again, and it turned out to be the perfect play here, putting a stop to any damage coming out, especially because the Helping Hand was used. So no damage coming out on this first turn, and Porygon 2 took a lot of damage from that Vicious Rend.
Yeah, we're just going to be seeing that Rillaboom go ahead and switch in. It does bring its Grassy Surge ability, which allows the grass terrain to be created onto the field, as we do see the Alcremie go for that Protect, not wanting any more damage, or any damage, should I say, this turn round. Whilst the Fisher's Rem dealing huge amounts of damage, and the Flare Blitz goes into that Alcremie's Protect. So Pontus wanting to get some sort of damage onto it this turn round, that if he did go for that double up, it would have actually picked up the KO onto that Rillaboom.
You can see how much damage is coming out from the Fisher's Rend as well, and the fact that you can't really safely switch in front of a Dracovish as well. It still gets that double power on a switched in Pokemon and still doing huge amounts of damage to that Rillaboom. And now it's going to be threatening down some Fake Out Pressure, some Grassy Glides as well. So Pontus is going to be responding with his own Rillaboom here.
Yeah, he's going to be switching the Dracovish out, maybe trying to safeguard it for a following future turn. Helping Hand comes out from the Alcremie into its partner, the Rillaboom. Grassy Glide dealing huge amounts of damage onto the opposing Rillaboom, of course, but it will be going down to this Flare Blitz right now from the Incineroar, making Davide a bit in a more rough spot, given how he started off the turn in Game 2. It wasn't the best. He did get that timeout, which was very unfortunate. It could have been detrimental to his game plans, but right now Pontus is looking like he is in a really good spot.
Very good indeed, and both players still have access to their Dynamax here. Cinderace is definitely a Pokemon you would want to be going for the Dynamax or the Gigantamax with as well. It's a little bit faster than the Alcremie, so you can't get a Decorate onto the Cinderace before it attacks. So if the Alcremie did want to Decorate the Cinderace at some point, it would have to do so after its first attack. You've seen the Helping Hand though as well. Helping Hand would still be boosting the damage output coming out from the Cinderace, and is really thrusting down both the Rillaboom and the Incineroar here, with a Max Airstream or a Fireball coming into the Rillaboom as well, or one of those Max Knuckles that we so often see on the Cinderace as well. So the Cinderace was actually a very nice bring here for Davide, especially with what he's facing down right now.
Yeah, and he's just going to go ahead and try to take advantage of being able to bring the Cinderace into this second game. And he's going to go ahead for that Dynamax, or should I say a Gigantamax, as we do see that Gigantamax Cinderace coming out right now. It will be moving first. It is the fastest thing on the field, unless we do, of course, see that priority Grassy Glide come out from the Rillaboom, which we don't actually see. We see the Max Airstream coming out first. The Libero ability will be switching Cinderace's ability into the Flying type. It goes into that Rillaboom, will be able to pick up the KO as well, boosting not only its own, but also Alcremie's speed by one stage, of course. Maybe perhaps allowing it to outspeed the Incineroar and any other Pokemon in the back, which it normally might not have been able to. Of course, the Incineroar would have, but we actually see the Decorate coming up from the Alcremie, so wanting to further boost this Cinderace, as we do see a parting shot, maybe trying to neutralize a bit the damage output of this Cinderace, maybe not allowed it to get completely out of hand. It will be switching out for another Pokemon in Pontus's back three now remaining. It will be the Lapras right now. So the Lapras being able to come onto the field, maybe allowing the Incineroar or the Rillaboom Fake Out Pressure of sorts coming back onto the field.
Incineroar is going to be coming back onto the field here, and it didn't really matter too much that the Cinderace was firing off its Airstream before the Decorate, as it was able to pick up the knockout on the Rillaboom regardless, and you're still able to increase your Cinderace. Now back at neutral, as it did take that parting shot and then the Intimidate once again from the Incineroar, and you can just go for the Fake Out once again into the Alcremie, stop any kind of Decorates, but then you do have to be wary of a Helping Hand that could come out from the Alcremie, which would be able to help out the Cinderace before a Fake Out would put a stop to the Decorates, if the Incineroar went for the Fake Outs onto the Alcremie as well. And the Cinderace is still going to be threatening some good damage if it does have that Max Knuckle available to it. But Lapras is going to be able to go for its Gigantamax here and be able to shrug off those attacks much more easily.
Yeah, so I think, just like you said, Jamie, that would have been a very close situation. Does the Incineroar go for the Fake Out into the Alcremie, or does it expect the Alcremie to go for that Helping Hand and maybe not opt for it? So it's a 50-50 situation right now that could go either way, but we do see the Helping Hand does come out from that Alcremie, maybe expecting the Fake Out, which we do not see, and it does help out this Max Knuckle that does come out from this Cinderace. It will be targeting down the Incineroar, being able to pick up the KO as well. Huge amounts of damage, also boosting yet again itself, now back up to +1, so looking to be in a good spot. Of course, this Lapras will be able to go ahead and get a G-Max Resonance off, which it does go for, maybe going into the Cinderace slot, hoping that it will remain a flying type, but dealing huge amounts of damage, even if it is now a fighting type. That is amazing damage output coming out from that Lapras, being able to additionally go ahead and set up that Aurora Veil. Pontus is looking to once again have the advantage in the remaining amount of Dynamax turns.
The Aurora Veil will definitely help out with that as well. So the Cinderace only has one more turn of its Gigantamax as well, and the Lapras is still at full HP. But the Cinderace did go for an Airstream. That means it will definitely be faster than even a Scarf Dracovish here. And we saw that the Alchemy moved first before the Dracovish after it had received a Max Strike speed drop, and an Airstream boost will be the same thing here. So we'll have to see if the Alchemy is still going to be moving first before that Dracovish. But it definitely will be if it's going for a Helping Hand.
Ooh, yeah, it's just going for it yet again. It wants to be able to get even more damage output behind the Cinderace, which goes into the Dracovish slot with the Max Knuckle, being able to get that clean KO as well. One-hit KO onto the Dracovish. Thank you very much, Mr. Fish. You're out of Game 2, that's for sure, as it also gets an additional boost, whilst Lapras will be free, though, to pick up a KO onto this Cinderace, of course, which it does target into with the Max Geyser, and it does accomplish as well. Being able to additionally set up the rain, so not looking the best at the minute for Davide, but at the same time, it was a bit of a give and get kind of turn where he was able to just take advantage of the situation. This Lapras is the last Pokemon remaining on Pontus' side, so it's going to be left to see if Davide can take advantage of the situation.
Well, Cinderace was able to pick up 3 knockouts with its Gigantamax, and now the Lapras is the final Pokemon. And the Porygon 2, the last Pokemon for Davide here. So Alchemy and Porygon 2 against the Lapras. It's going to be an interesting endgame here, but especially with that Decorate as well. But we did see that the Lapras moved first before the Porygon 2 in that Game 1. And if it does so again, the Porygon 2 is definitely going to be in range of another Max Geyser, now that the Max Geyser on the previous turn did set up that rain as well. And then Alchemy is probably not going to have enough damage output to be able to take care of this Lapras. So maybe Davide needs to hope that that was a speed tie going back into that Game 1 so that he can maybe get off a recover with the Porygon 2, or if he just wants to fire off a decorated boosted Thunderbolt.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing the Helping Hand actually going out from the Alcremie. Maybe this Porygon 2 not opting for that recover, but it's not going to be able to make it in time if this Max Geyser is going into it, which it is, and it's going to be able to pick up the KO as well, most definitely with that Life Orb and the Rain backing it up. Basically giving this game to Pontus here, because honestly, Jamie, I really don't see how this Alcremie is going to be able to 1v1 against a Lapras in the rain and boosted by a Life Orb.
Unless it can somehow decorate itself here, I don't think that the Alchemy will be able to take care of this Lapras. Maybe if the Lapras isn't carrying any accurate moves, some players do opt to carry Hydro Pump and Blizzard as their moves of choice. As now that the Gigantamax is finished on the Lapras' side, maybe Davide has to rely on some misses coming out from the Lapras. But yeah, it's going to be a Hydro Pump, which isn't an accurate move, so it does give the potential for the Alchemy to be able to win this game, but it still has to take a huge amount of damage from that rain-boosted Hydro Pump first, but really needs to be dodging every single move coming out from this Lapras.
I think as long as the Lapras has, let's say, a freeze dry right now, I think it's in a really good spot just to win this. Because let's be real, the Alcremie doesn't have as much damage output as it would have liked, as we do see the confirmation of the forfeit from Davide's side right there, giving Pontus the win and Sweden the advantage going into the second day tomorrow. Oh my lord, Jamie, this is definitely not a record that we would have been expected to talk about over the first day, is it?
Well, given that Italy were able to win 8-0 against Sweden in that Week 1 stage, and now Sweden are going to be finishing this Saturday ahead of Italy with the 2-1 advantage going into the Sunday now. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting result coming out here. So we definitely could be seeing an underdog story with the Swedes here.
We definitely could. So let's talk a bit about the match, right? What do you think with the situation? Do you think that it was quite detrimental that the timeout happened in the game in Game 2 with the Porygon 2, or do you think that it actually benefited having the Cinderace Dynamax instead?
Cinderace was able to pick up 3 knockouts in its 3 turns of Gigantamax, so I don't think the Porygon 2 would have been able to do that. It only received a helping hand boost on that first turn. It would have probably needed a Decorate boost to be able to pick up a knockout. But yeah, it was an interesting play going for the Fake Out once again into the Porygon 2, which did Dynamax in that first game, and could have gone for the Dynamax again in the game 2, but a really nice play coming out from Pontus on that first turn, be able to catch that non-Dynamax Porygon 2, as the Alchemy did go for a helping hand to try and avoid that Fake Out as well. And it didn't allow Davide to get the momentum he would have wanted if he went for something like the Dynamax and that Max Strike as well.
No, definitely. And we saw that Pontus, like you said, he was able to take full advantage of the situation. We saw that the Lapras was just able to do so much work in the back. So we've been seeing more of hyper-offensive teams come out, let's say, for example, from Italy, where you've had like a Tailwind support of sorts, and then you've had that Lapras, which is Life Orb boosted, and it just goes for damage straight away, wants a Dynamax straight away. But we've seen it in the back, though, both games, being able to just really nail this game out for Pontus by basically lasting longer than Davide's Pokemon, because that Porygon 2, if it was at max HP, maybe it could have been Davide's game, and it wouldn't have gone down. Maybe get a couple of recovers going, let the Dynamax end, of course, and then go ahead and win out with a Decorate, for example, like we had seen previously. But it wasn't that situation, because we saw Pontus was just able to get the necessary KOs that he needed. So he was able to get rid of the Rillaboom. The Vicious Rend damage was huge. Do you think that might have been a choice band on it? Because that was so much damage on a Rillaboom. Being able to take it over half HP. I know, of course, it didn't attack, but oh my lord, it resists it, though.
You can't underestimate that double-powered Vicious Rend. So when it is able to catch something before it's moved, or if it's switched in as well, and that's it makes switching so dangerous in front of a Dracovish as well, being able to still get that double power of the Vicious Rends. And a lot of damage coming out from it. We saw the Alchemy outspeed the Dracovish in that game 1 after the Max Strike. And if the Alchemy is trained in max speed and the Dracovish also mostly max speed, it does have the potential for a speed tie there as well. So we didn't get to see if it was actually Choice Scarf on the Dracovish or if it was that Choice Band. But yeah, that was great game. Sweden are going to be taking the advantage here at the end of this